So after finally upgrading our weapon in the last episode, this time around we're gonna go ahead and fight the Gargoyles as well as the Capra demon. Because of this, the video is slightly longer than the ones before, but I hope you guys don't mind. Now, a pretty cool thing about Andre the Blacksmith is that if you attack him, he will eventually start attacking you back, and he will fight with his fist. And one of the cool things about him is that he has a number of unique moves that no one else in the game has, and he basically is able to throw these proper boxing punches and wrestling kicks. So now that we have a +5 Fuji Katana, we're gonna continue onwards and go kill the Gargoyles. Now, before we kill the Gargoyles, this is something that every veteran player probably already knows. You really should consider freeing Lautrec from his prison, because if you don't, he will go back, he will kill the Firekeeper, and the bonfire in Firelink Shrine will become unavailable to you up until you get to Anorlando, which is quite a while from now. Also, Lautrec ends up dropping his ring, which is easily one of the best rings in the entire game, so it's definitely worth considering, at least, to kill him at this point. Now, the Channeler here can actually drop his trident already. It's one of the rarest weapons in the game, and you need it for the achievement that requires you to collect pretty much all weapons in the entire game, and it's a massive pain because farming them later onwards in the Duke's archives can be such a chore. Also, at this point you really have to be careful of these hollows because they can easily take you down in a hit or two, especially when they're buffed by the channeler. So you just want to, lure them backwards and kill them however way you can. Let's see, are we gonna get the drop? No, we're not. It's very rare. Also, don't forget to just go to this corner on the opposite side. This guy is actually holding a humanity. Now, at this point I make a pretty big mistake. Normally, when you free Lautrec by using the mystery key that you find a little before this, he will stay at Firelink for a little bit, and he will do so up until you've defeated Gargoyles and ring the second bell, at which point he will, spoilers ahead, kill the Firekeeper. Now, aside from that, there's also a pretty obscure little thing which I unfortunately forgot about when playing through the game again after all this time, and that is that if you end up getting both Firekeeper souls, being the ones from all the way down in Blighttown, as well as the one in the monastery, Lautrec will pretty much instantly leave the cell if you don't kill him right here and right now, and he will go ahead and kill the Firekeeper even before you fight Gargoyles. And that's exactly what I do. I should have killed him right here, but I don't, and so he kills the Firekeeper, robs me of a pretty important checkpoint, or bonfire rather, and I also don't have an opportunity to kill him for his ring. But in the end it's really not all that bad, because as I said, I'm trying to play through the game in a bit of a normal fashion. I don't really need the ring anyways, and if I do it this way, I can actually fight Lautrec during the NPC invasion later in Anorlando, which is a 3 versus 1, and it's a pretty cool fight, so nothing is really lost. But yeah, keep an eye out for this. I also love just how dry the examine option is here. Dead. Okay. So of course, everybody knows you can get the tail axe by killing the Gargoyle's tail off. If you're fast enough, they're really not that much of a challenge. They only become more difficult when they're both, or one of them's trying to breathe fire at you as you're trying to kill the other one. But other than that, they're really a pretty simple boss, as you can tell. It takes a few seconds and pretty easy to do without taking any damage at all. So, off to ring the first bell. And after you ring the bell, there's actually a pretty good opportunity to look around a bit and see many of the sites you were at earlier. So if we look down there, you can actually see the bridge that held the Drake. A bit to the left, that's where you fight the Taurus demon. And if we could turn it far enough, down there you would see the Undead Burg. And if you turn around, up there, just on the other side of that wall, is where Anorlando is. right there, that big tower, is the Duke's Archives with Seif. And then if you look down here, you can actually see Sans Fortress way down there. That's where you enter. Basically through those trees, you can kind of see the gate down there. So you enter right through there, make your way all the way up there. You can't see the giant though, but we'll get to that later. And then you basically make your way all the way up there, and there you will fight the golem before you are airlifted up into Anor Londo. Also, while you're here, you might as well buy at least one purging stone just in case you get cursed by the frogs down in the depths in the sewers. Doesn't cost all that much, and it can save you a lot of backtracking later on. And so with the gargoyles out of the way, we're just gonna backtrack and kill the next boss in the logical order, which is the Capra demon. And so right there you can see the Drake coming back as we're getting hit in the back with bolts. So it's a good idea to just let him pass and kill all of the enemies before you go, because otherwise he can hit you quite hard in the back and no place to hide once you get to that point. So now for the Capra demon, we've opened this gate to unlock the shortcut in the other way around. And well, Capra is probably one of my least favorite bosses in the game. Getting to him is also a pain as well, in my opinion. These dogs and these rogues can be a massive pain. You can lure them to the fire though, that makes it a little easier, but still I hate getting through here because they can just lock you in so easily, and yeah, you just want to run back to the boss over and over again, but they can make it quite difficult for you. So don't forget to get the sorcerer who is in here. Now right here with the sorcerer Grix, there's actually a pretty interesting and difficult to do trick that's very popular in speedrunning. Basically, as you can tell in the video, I first needed to wait for him to finish his first audio cue before you can open the door, but there's a way to skip that wait, and that is by approaching the door at a very specific angle. You can actually open it before you get close enough to trigger the audio cue. And that skip was very minor, very unknown, I'd say, but it became quite popular after popular YouTuber PewDiePie accidentally managed to pull it off during one of his videos.
Well, this place needs a makeover. God.
Somebody, please let me out of here.
Where?
Somebody, anybody.
Who?
Help
Hi.
me.
How are you?
Unlock the door. Damn,
I did,
I'm finished.
but I'm right here.
This ever happened?
I'm right here, man.
So as you can tell, even though you're already in the room, standing right next to him and talking to Griggs, he will still ask you to come open the door and shout for help. So all in all, it's a very minor trick. It only saves like a second or two and really has no use outside of speedrunning, but still interesting enough to point out. Always gotta be careful around torch hollows. They can cause massive amounts of damage very, very quickly. Especially with their running attacks, or the ones where they just swing it around a little bit. It can tear your health away in just a second. Behind these doors you can see their feet sticking out from underneath some of the doors, and it's actually quite easy to just kill them through the door. Just like that. So that way, it only works the first time around, of course. Because next time the doors remain open after they burst out. And now they will open up and they'll come for us. Funny thing is that these doors are kicked open as well, even though there's no one behind them to actually open them, but that's just how it goes in Dark Souls. Now you want to be careful with these rogues because they can parry and backstab you, which is quite annoying. If you do end up getting backstabbed by them, it actually takes a while for them to complete their animation, so you can quit out while they're basically crawling on top of you, and it'll reset their position before they can actually get any damage off. And as you can tell, that's another unfortunate side effect of playing at 60 frames per second, I assume. This guy somehow managed to warp up though and trying to open and get through the door, and pretty sure he's stuck, because I have no clue. You're not supposed to be able to get up there, and I don't think he can come back out either. Now you can actually tell pretty easily when they're about to parry you, or when attacking them would result in a parry. And it's when they basically hold their knife up in the air. I'll see if I can bait them out into doing it. Yeah, they'll go into that stance and they will parry you once you attack. but they can only parry normal attacks, so if you do a strong jumping attack like I just did, it will just go clean through their parry setup. And you'll probably end up killing them in one hit anyway, so... And so if you remember from what we discussed earlier, this is that little street that you can easily skip down from the top berg. So earlier we were standing right up there, that ledge above me, and up there on this little bridge right above my head, and we were looking down onto this street. Also, another interesting thing about Capra is that if you really can't beat him, you can actually cheese him very easily, because he's already loaded in and waiting on the other side of the fog gate. So if you stand back a little bit, and it's a bit of trial and error, but you can basically throw fire bombs over the wall and hit him and kill him before you even have to start the fight. So once you make it past the opening of the fight, it's really not that hard of a boss battle. I recommend trying to stick to the right hand side, waiting out to see what the dog does, and then either dodging or killing it. And then if you can, run up the stairs in the back left corner to heal if you need to. Aside from that, the best tactic is probably to try and lure the Capra demon up there, get him to fall down, and then perform a plunging attack to do some massive damage, which is what I do in this video for my first strike. Other than that, I just kept my distance, waited for him to attack, and then just punished him badly, making this a relatively easy fight. And there we go, that's the Capra demon. And that's going to be it for this episode. Next time around we're gonna head down into the sewers as well as the depths and see if we can get to the Gaping Dragon. So far we have managed to beat every single boss, Asylum Demon, Taurus Demon, Gargoyles and Capra, all without taking a single hit, so far the challenge is still going strong. Hope you guys enjoyed.